What's up, guys? This is Alicia, and welcome to your first workout of your leg program. We're going to start with a single leg hip hinge. So what you want to keep in mind for your single leg hip hinge is that it is a hip hinge just like a deadlift. So you want to make sure to maintain a flat back and try and keep your shin, the bottom part of your leg, straight up and down as you do these reps. So if you can't get quite so low on these, don't worry about it. Just make sure that you start stretching those hamstrings so you can get a little bit more flexible when you're doing these. So you can see that I'm keeping my back nice and flat. So if you can't go down quite so low, don't worry about it. Just work on that flexibility, like I said. Next, we're going to go to that deadlift. So same form here. You're doing pretty much the same movement, but with both legs. So you want to keep those shins straight up and push the hips to the back while maintaining that flat back. And just trace the shins with those dumbbells as you come down. Also, make sure that you're always keeping those abs nice and tight. From this front position, you can see that I'm tracing those shins as I come down with the weights. And you want to keep your chin tucked in as you go down so that your head's always in a spinal alignment as well. Next, we go to our hamstring curl. You might have to adjust the seat right there. That's okay. So whenever we do these, I want you to make sure that you're keeping your hips down on the bench, meaning you want to try to squeeze your butt so you can isolate the hamstrings. Sometimes you might have a tendency to pick those hips up and activate those hip flexors. So if you can keep the hip flexors down and just squeeze your butt and try to kick your heels back towards your butt. So that way you're feeling all in the hamstrings and nothing else. Also with your tempo here, you can try to get a little bit more activation by slowing those reps down on the way down. You can see there what I mean with the hips coming off the bench. So if you can kind of use that tempo, then you'll get a little bit more out of the exercise as opposed to if you do all of that really quick tempo. So next we're going to go to that leg press. Really good compound exercise here. So you can kind of play with your foot position depending on how you want to feel the movement. So I'm starting out with the toes a little bit turned out and the feet a little bit lower. So by driving through the heels, you'll be able to feel the glutes a little bit more, as opposed to if you bring the feet in a little bit, then you'll feel more in the quads. You can still get good activation in either position, but you just want to really pay attention to which muscle group you're trying to work on. So again, here with the foot position, starting out with those toes a little bit turned out, driving through the heels, and making sure also those knees come out, that you're not letting those knees buckle whenever you come down. So even in this quad dominated position, you want to make sure of the same thing, that those knees and ankles are in alignment. Finally, if you want to bring those heels up a little bit, then you can get a little bit more activation in those hamstrings, but a really good position overall to hit all three muscle groups right here. All right, so next we come to our hip thrusts. These are really, really great exercise for building the glutes, even more so than squats, I would say. So a couple things to note here. Same thing with our foot positioning, making sure that those feet, those heels are right under the knees, making that 90-degree angle whenever you come up. And then you want to push through the heels, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the core. And also with that upper body, trying to keep that kind of plank position in the upper body as you're doing these as well. Finally, our last exercise before our little finisher at the end. leg extension. It's very easy to come up off that machine when the weight gets heavy. So you might want to make sure that you are holding onto that position so that you can make sure to really isolate that quad. Sometimes I like to do those single leg before I go into the heavier weight. That way you can make sure that both legs are working equally when you're doing this movement. Same thing as with our hamstring curl. You can really control that movement on the way down to activate the muscle even more. Finally, we have our little finisher with the band. So you can sit on a ball or a bench, it's up to you. But you want to make sure that you're sitting up nice and tall, stick your chest a little bit forward, and as always, keep that core nice and tight. And when you're pushing, you want to make sure you're pushing from the frame of the body to the outside of the body, meaning that you can see the knees aren't coming too far in whenever you release that tension. Enjoy this workout, and I'll see you guys in the next workout.